Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thanks for stopping by. Our dedicated team will guide you through with the latest updates and theories at Starbase, Texas. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for future streams.
9, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff.
We have Booster 19, which just completed a spin prime / igniter test. So that's really exciting. We'll get to that here in a bit. Before we do that, I want to welcome the other guests today. So Alex, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here. Hopefully everybody's having an exciting afternoon or relaxing.
Yeah, agreed. And I just realized I'm not actually sure who else is on with us today. I think Ryan might be. Ryan?
I can be if you want me here.
Cool.
I mean,
Yeah, feel free to hop in. And then we also have Indy and Star taking care of questions and donations. So welcome, Indy. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I hear radio silence in the chat. Somebody says radio silence, so I just want to make sure that we are coming through. So if you guys can hear us, go ahead and give us a... Okay, it looks like we're good. Alrighty then. Well, I'm not sure if y'all missed that entire introduction or not, but if so, I apologize. But yeah, we have a great show for you guys today. A little bit different this week to some degree with the booster on the pad. It kind of changes the TFR rules, so we've kind of been waiting to figure out how that was going to work out because it's been so long since we've had a vehicle on the pad. So we went from going we had a 10,000 foot TFR, which dropped down to 7,000 a few months ago. I think was it back in August, maybe September, ish. And then there's 5,000 at Massey's. But now with the vehicle on the pad, they put another TFR up, which pushes it up to 11,000. So definitely a little bit of difference in clarity of the images, but I think we still have excellent footage today. So really excited to go through everything with y'all today. And as always, we will go ahead and start off at Massey's, where despite them being mostly finished with a lot of the infrastructure work, there's still quite a bit of activity going on here. So for one, I guess we'll just, since we're at this wide view, it looks like they have almost finished the paving the road all the way up to the site. Looks like they've finally gotten over to this land bridge right here. So that's nice. But yeah, we have ship 39 that finished up testing about a week ago, maybe a little longer. And that is back in Megabay 2, more than likely receiving engines at this point. Actually, so 39 rolled back to the build site the same day that Booster 19 rolled out to the launch site, if I'm not mistaken.
It did.
Yeah, so that was interesting. And yeah, so 39 should be getting engines installed, and we'll probably see it come back out for static fire testing. Maybe. I'm a little interested to see whether or not that actually ends up happening in that order, because I personally feel like it makes more sense for them to do basically the thrust puck test, and we'll kind of get to that when we get back to the Sanchez site. But I would expect, given the way that they've kind of been doing this whole testing procedure with the new vehicles, that we would be more likely to see them go through the full process instead of skip an important step like that. So I don't necessarily know if we should expect that 39 is getting engines installed right now. I think it's slightly more likely that it's not. So we'll see some more evidence. What was that?
I don't think we'll know for certain until we see which of the two stands it ends up going on when it comes back out here, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll take a look at those as soon as we get to the Sanchez site. I'm really excited for 39 to get deeper into its testing campaign. But in the meantime, the static fire stand is I think ready for the most part. It seems like they're doing some changes with the water deluge system. So they've kind of removed the fill station that was back here. So at the moment, I don't believe they have the ability to actually fill these water tanks. So that's interesting. We're going to have to see what they're doing with that, but they're definitely making some changes to the system. They've added some new components in here, one in particular.
Another heat
exchanger. This is actually a very interesting component, which I would go to detail in right now, but it's actually perfect timing for this because it relates to what I'm doing in part 3 of this series that I'm working on right now. So maybe I'll save that for then. But yeah, it looks like with these the pump system. So this first pump, which I've kind of talked about previously in the Massey's static fire trench episode. This pump right here was connected to the fill station, which was located right here. And so that is now disconnected and the fill station has been removed. So kind of interesting because as far as we know, Massey's is the only site that is not connected to the municipal distribution system that's coming from Brownsville. And as far as we know, that's not active yet either. It may be actually as of this week, I have a feeling. But yeah, I mean, it's weird because as far as we know, there's no municipal supply coming to Massey's. I think we would have seen that installed along the. Sorry, what was that?
They've been installed. They trenched while they're doing the paving.
Well, hold on here.
If you go back a few weeks.
Let's see. I think we may actually be able to see this. I just noticed something in one of the. if I can get a view showing the entrance. I'm going to be able to see it, but I do see some, what maybe is blue pipes right here. Okay, well,
Indeed
then
they
that might
are.
be them right there. Looks like I got to make another change. Well, yeah, I guess it looks like that municipal water supply is coming here, but that's interesting for them to remove the fill station before that's ready. So yeah, I'm assuming they'll probably bring back a temporary one before they're ready for static fire testing. But again, if Ship 39 comes out for thrust puck testing, then they won't need this anyways, so they have some time on that. But I mean, if it doesn't come back, that fill station, and waiting for that water line to be installed would be obviously something that has to be done before that test can occur. So yeah, that'll be interesting. I wonder how they'll get it there because, well, this is the only unpaved part of the site, so I'm guessing it'll probably come around this direction all the way to the backside.
Yeah, I don't know if they ever put any undergrounds in when they used to have the reverse osmosis supply back here, or if that was all tanked and trucked.
Yeah. I mean, you can see they cut this part out. I know they installed something else down here, but this could be... Oh, that's exactly what that is. So you can actually see it. Let me get a better view. This might be a good one. Yeah, so you can actually see them. They've cut out the concrete down here and leading up to this first pump right here. So that's probably what they're preparing to do, is install that water line. So that is interesting. Definitely unexpected. And well, I was kind of confused over the last few weeks because it made no sense to me as I was like trying to trace out where all of this water line is, like why it doesn't go to Massey's, but I suppose it makes sense that it will. But yeah, permanent water line coming in here, which, like I said, means that we probably won't see that static fire test until that line is complete, assuming they don't reinstall the temporary line, which I would have to imagine they wouldn't have removed it if they didn't think that this would be ready in time for the static fire test. So in my opinion, I think that Flight 12 is further than we have been led to believe by Elon specifically.
May.
So
It's May at this point.
They could have the fill station as soon as they pave that back in a day. But
yeah, I mean, they could go pretty fast on it for sure.
This isn't the only somewhat even minor limiting factor. There's a bunch of other things that still have to get done that aren't even close to done yet for the flight, and well,
I mean,
it's mid-March, so
vehicle validation enters a chat.
the grid fins, they still have to test that.
Yeah, we have a lot left to test, and on that note, we'll kind of move over a little bit from the static fire stand. Not really much to talk about at the methane tank farm. So moving over to the ground testing locations. Not really expecting anything on the booster side because booster 20 is how far are they into stacking booster 20?
The transfer tube has been sitting vertical in Mega Bay 1 for like a day and a half. So that's where they're at. The next is the landing tank, then it's the aft section. And then the LOX tank's done.
Okay.
So.
And sorry, I was just looking at the live cameras because I saw some venting from the launch mount, but the road is open, so don't think we'll be seeing any more testing today. So yeah, the ship cryostation has been kind of the question. I mean, I guess up to this point, we're kind of starting to lean towards this not necessarily being used for cryo tests for ships for quite some time until they're done with whatever else they're doing here. I don't really necessarily see them making moves to fully replace all of this and get it ready for, basically doing the same thing they did on the static fire stand as far as updating all of the GSE. But they do have all of this piping over here, but that doesn't look like everything they would need in order to make that conversion. So I don't think they're necessarily planning to do that anytime soon. We do have some more down here too, but I think these are from the temporary test stand, possibly. I'd have to go back and double check that. Moving on, we do, as Ryan mentioned, are now expecting another test article to come out of the Mega Bay soon. Or, sorry. Yeah, they're... Yeah, okay, so
there's
we're expecting a new test article, the replacement for 18.3.
Yeah, it's got 18.3's forward, and then a new common dome section.
Right.
So
they're basically preparing this test stand, the Super Crusher, for that. And so we can see some interesting additions that they've made to this in preparation for that. And again, that is the booster forward section with the common dome, and then I don't think it actually has an aft tank. It's just a sleeve over the aft, right?
Yeah.
Or basically, yeah. So no aft section per se. So this is really mostly for testing the forward section of the booster, or the methane tank and the forward section, so the inner stage and all of that. And as we can see that they've added these components onto the side, which are more than likely for grid fin testing. So the third one is located right here. You can just barely see it back there. So that would be the 3 grid fins right there. And then on the inside of this, there's this structure they added out to the bottom here, which Jake kind of pieced together yesterday, is most likely for the transfer tube to pass through here. And I think there's some brackets down here, which that'll likely connect to. Whether it's directly connected to these or if there's actuators on these that will be attached to that, either the transfer tube or the common dome, is kind of yet to be seen. But then you could see these brackets coming off of here, which are pretty much the same as what the struts that are used to attach the landing tank to the or basically brace the landing tank against the transfer tube. So that's basically what these are emulating. So we should see them. Are there any actuators that are? I'm not necessarily sure how this is going to work, because I'm assuming they want to. I don't know if this is more about the transfer tube or the landing tank. But I would have to imagine it's more about the transfer tube, because I don't think they'll actually have a landing tank inside of the 18.3.
Let's see, it is
What was that?
where it would be. It is where it would be in relation to the booster itself, because it's on the side of one of the rudder fin, if we want to call it that. So, yeah, I don't know. That's about the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, so the landing tank being partially braced against that transfer tube, puts stresses on the transfer tube during specifically landing maneuvers. So I think they're basically trying to emulate those stresses, not only from the aft section, the coming up from the aft section, but also from the forces of the landing tank acting on the transfer tube. And sorry, Alex, what were you about to say?
Yeah, the geometry is weird for them to where the grid-fed sockets are in relation to how high up this is going in the common dome.
What do you mean?
On the transfer tube, it's held on primarily with its mounting down to the thrust puck. It has bellows mounting, connecting it to the common dome. So bellows generally do not transfer structural loading since they're essentially accordions. I would see that more as looking at the, I don't know how that would be testing the landing tank interface to the transfer tube. Just
That's a good point. Do you think it's more of the testing the bellow then?
The bellows being tested by the three pairs of rams down below that should be connected to the transfer tube cap. That's the same way that they did it on 18.3, I guess. The exact same layout.
So what are you thinking on these then?
Either A, they're going to do something wacky in the panels below, and they're going to essentially pressurize this lower half of the mount, and it'll be the tank interface to the walls. Because the large struts, the large holes on the that plate are also in the right place for the landing tank's wall attachments. You have the two struts on each side that connect to the wall of the vehicle. So there's, yeah. Because I mean, when they were testing it in 17.1, they were just using a strictly one. They were only testing it and pushing and pulling on it. They weren't adding any other forces. That portion of the transfer tube was tested in the other tank, as far as the landing tank was concerned.
You muted, Zach?
Is Zach talking while muted?
Oh, sorry about that.
There you
I had
go.
to sneeze, so I muted myself. Yeah, so I guess the interesting thing though that makes me wonder. I mean, we would know if it had an aft section on it right now, right?
There's steel plates last week on the ground that look like they're making one of those rings. But if you look where those two high-vis workers are, where the pipes are coming through, we would need ground shots to see. I mean, the other thing is, like I said, they're treating this almost as a false tank. I think they've done a lot of that sort of at Massey's. I mean, at McGregor.
These are weird though, because aren't these the same interface? And these are new, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know if what I was wondering is if they filled in that section, the intersection, to make it fluid tight between the bolt down interface and the where they put all the steel plates in over the past few weeks.
We seen the ring that goes on top of that, the interface.
It's just a normal bolt down. They have that machine surface. There's the its mate that is welded to the side at the bottom of the test vehicle, and then they just bolt it down.
Right. Ryan, what were you about to say?
I would say for the test tank itself, it looks like it's just a common dome with a normal booster common dome section, with probably a stub, stub for the transfer tube, and then it's the forward. So at least they can probably seal off part of it. If the transfer tube can slot in there, that it probably helps them be able to seal off the whole thing, so they could, in theory, fill the transfer tube or whatever, however much of a transfer tube is there, as well as the tank itself. Um, that's probably what that helps do. I don't, and then maybe some other testing along with it.
Wonder what these rings are going around the clevis brackets.
They're just to center the cylinders. Because those are where the rods would be, the cylinders too.
Right. Yeah, they almost look like the interfaces for the Raptors. They look similar to this, although I'm guessing there would be in between these locations instead of. Actually, I'm not sure.
They'd be inside that ring. That's the 9-meter ring that
This
mating surf. Yeah.
Yeah.
To the mounts. On the original, the thrust ramps would be somewhere on that plate when it was in the other configuration.
Yeah, certainly some interesting stuff going on here. I do see it looks like they're adding, I don't know what these are. Don't see them anywhere else, though.
Does look like
down here.
Yes, that they're probably welding on something. They're just sitting on that ledge.
Very interesting. Yeah, they're definitely got a lot of people down here trying to get this thing ready to go as quickly as possible. The other test tanks we've seen not have as much action. So 18.1, haven't really seen any changes with this, right?
I haven't seen anything. It's just been parked there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then 39.1.
It's getting its rods, is what it's getting with the cap.
Did they do a cryo test on it this week?
No, they just ran the systems at Massey's for a while. Is all they did. All the cryos this past week have been Booster 19.
Yeah, they've been commissioning the new Lux tanks.
Yeah, in these photos, you should be able to see a bunch of frosty systems all around all those.
I feel like those tanks were already commissioned.
No, I mean the pumps.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The pumps, I was about to say. I'm pretty positive they used those, Alex. Well, that's nice because I guess we'll probably see a maybe faster prop load for the boosters next time. Maybe.
Perhaps.
Yeah, I do wonder what the capacity of these 4 are compared to the 4 over here, or 5 over there. Or if they'll potentially use both of them at the same time, because that's a situation that's been confusing me for quite a while. But with 39.1, the rods are being installed on this, so we will probably see this being tested this coming week, more than likely.
I'm thinking they're going to decommission those 5 just from the way they have the farm set up currently. I would have assumed they would have, if they're planning on using them both, they would have used the spectacle lockout plates and just would have had actuators instead. But
yeah, I mean, I am surprised that they don't have another set of these right here, though. That's the only thing that makes me think they might still use them.
Yeah, I also thought there was going to be another bank of 2 show up
here to put in here. There's room for it, right?
Sounds straight down look like there should just be enough. And if they are abandoning that ship station, which would be kind of crazy,
right? Yeah, you could definitely fit one more there. Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't done that already. There's a lot of mysteries going on here at Massey's. I mean, with the fact that all of the kettle boilers are here, I'm guessing these are probably going to end up being used at the launch site and not actually used here. They're just temporarily storing these here. If I had to guess, probably part of the methane conversion. So when they build out the new methane pump farm, they won't be able. They want the other one still active, so they'll need to basically rebuild an entire separate system before they deactivate the other one.
I think
Assuming they're not going to have two methane pump farms.
I think it'll be 2 of each, 1 for each pad. Unfortunately.
But that means those methane tanks would stay where they are.
No, the methane, I think, is eventually going to move because you'll just have the inlet valves going in, one set going into the pad
Right.
1 pumping and heat exchangers, and one heading to pad 2s.
That makes sense. Sorry, I was scrolling through trying to find another angle. Actually, do I even need another angle of 39.1? There's not much to really talk about with that one. Is there anything else at Massey's that I've missed?
There's not a lot going on in Massey's other than the testing and then some of the reconfigs, to be honest. We'll wait to see if they test 39.1 to failure. That could be fun.
I feel like they don't plan to do like intentional tests of failure for anything here, especially with being located where it is, right next to the LOX tanks. Like that just doesn't sound like a good idea. So I have a feeling that any test of failure is accidental. And sorry, I'm like scrolling through, like literally trying to find this one angle that I saw earlier. I know you guys can see me like scrolling through. I feel like I got ADD when I'm doing this. I give up though. Indy, do we have any questions for Massey's?
We do, but I'll start with the gifted memberships because we got several. We've got a gifted membership from Just Martin. Thank you, Martin. We have one from Sharpie. Thank you, Sharpie. And we have one from Junar. Thank you, Junar. And we have 20 from Bama in Italy. Thank you guys so much. And congratulations to all the recipients. For the questions, Junar asks, are they going to need an actual water tower since they're piping the water in from so far?
No. It'll just be basically on demand. The system is be like constantly fed. I do wonder how that works if it's not being used. But like anytime they need water, they'll just open up the valves and the pressure will already be behind it, just like a regular municipal water system. So they can just fill it on demand. They don't need a separate water tower.
Brian
water
asked,
tower is
didn't they
effectively in Brownsville.
Sorry.
Go
Brian
ahead,
asked,
Indy.
didn't they already? Yep. Brian asked, didn't they already test the grid fins when they lifted the booster onto the mount? It just needs to hold the weight plus a little bit more for landing, right?
No.
Re-entry.
Aerodynamic loading on that, as well as what is at some point almost 20 Gs. The boosters are under almost 20 Gs of acceleration. So
yeah, and then there's a decent amount there's a decent amount of force put on the entire vehicle, drag and everything wise, when all of a sudden you cut all your velocity like in a near instant when you light up that landing burn. Like you cut a lot of velocity, puts a lot of force on that vehicle too.
well, the grid-fed loading when they're in the transonic regime, when they essentially become opaque to airflow, and it's essentially barn doors, all 3 of them, also put substantial loading.
They need to test that, and I think it'd be prudent to do that on the ground rather than trying to do that in flight.
They could just hang it from the sticks and start pumping the tank full of water. And
there you go. Genius.
I mean, it's like the water bladder test they did.
How much weight do you think you'd have to put in the booster to simulate those forces before? But then again, you only have about and then before you hit the safety margin on the sticks.
It's a 2-for test. Wire up pad 1 and test it there. No, joking.
Oh, I got an idea. Take a rope or cable, wrap it around the grid fin, and pull it with an actuator on the bottom while it's sitting up on the mount, and see if you rip the actuator. See if you rip the grid fin off.
Get those D9s they used to have and just. Sorry.
Either way,
right.
the best way to do that is to build that new test tank that they're putting together, put it in there, and have a whole test regime for the forward of the booster to make sure everything's fine.
Agreed. Yeah. Next, do we have another question, Indy?
We do. We have at least 3 more. Kiwi Liam asks, what's the random barrel section sitting next to the 5 tanks?
So this is the ship forward section that they had on top of 18.3. So because they're testing the interstage, you don't want to put the cap directly on the interstage. You want to put the cap on top of the ship aft section, essentially. So that's what that is. It's waiting for 18.3 to come back out.
Fly Jake asks, will the tanker truck committees from the ASU by the launch site to Massey's? Will they tanker
The
truck?
ASU?
Yeah. Will they tanker truck committees from the ASU by the launch site to Massey's?
Commodities?
Possibly.
There's they have the ASU in Brownsville, so I don't see why they would do that. That would require them to build a fill station at the ASU, which, I mean, they're super limited on space, so I have a feeling they won't be doing that.
They could use their offload stations, run on a reverse, and they'd have to have their own fleet or hire their own trucker fleet, and they have contracts already with Lind propellant, so you're already paying another company. You might as well just have them deliver the goods.
The only thing I could have think of that they would build a fill station for there, and that's if they go ahead and separate it out on purpose, would be the Argon. But yeah, other than that.
Bama in Italy asks, COPV testing stand at Massey's. Any update on how, if that is working for them?
Well, Booster 19 and Ship 39 haven't blown up, have they?
Not yet.
I'd say it's working.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Oh.
What is this?
Originally, I thought those might be for shielding from the bunker towards the hot fire gantry, but they might just be making work access platforms around the COPV stations. They don't have to use as many lifts. Yeah,
that would make sense. Yeah, I mean, we've seen them do a few different rounds of testing here. I have a feeling this is probably just like a pre-test station for every COPV they use. So, they do acceptance testing at the manufacturer's facility, but they'll probably just continue to do acceptance testing here, just so they know that if there is a failure, again, they know that it happened after they verified them and not before. So it kind of probably gets into like a liability thing with they now own that company, I guess. So, but still, you need to know where that failure occurred. If it happened in transit, if it happened, during installation. And this is kind of their way of being able to determine when those when that damage is occurring, if it does happen. But hopefully we don't ever have another event like that.
Well, when they start doing on in orbit refueling, they're going to have to know they can fill the COPVs in that temperature regime. So a lot of room for future testing needs.
Agreed.
And I'd ask you about their switching with their higher performance water jacketed vaporizer for priming the system, but it's probably covered in your next video.
Yeah. Yeah. When I saw it, I was like, oh, okay. I wonder if that's the same one from the bunker. Anyways. We'll move on. Was that the last question, Indy?
I have one more for you, gents. Fenrir asks, once they install the rest of the engines, do you guys think that it'll be similar to what's been going on at this point in the testing regime? Spin primes, igniter tests, banked, or all at once?
Well, my opinion hasn't changed. I've kind of said a few weeks ago that I expected multiple tanking tests, potentially up to 5 before we see a static fire. And I didn't expect them to do spin primes each time, but we're up to three tests now. I do think the next one will probably be a static fire finally. But yeah, I'm still sticking to that same thing I've said a few weeks ago, which is incremental tests. So I personally don't even expect to see the full 10 engine test right now. I think we'll probably see one from each group first before we see them do the full 10. But I don't know, that one, they may be willing to jump straight up to 10, considering in the past they were willing to do all 33 at the very first time with Booster 7. That was didn't work out very well. But yeah, I mean, I expect we'll see 2, possibly 3 static fire tests. If it's 3, then it'll be, a 3 engine test probably, then 10, and then another 10 just the whatever center engines they have with the landing tank. So I would expect 3 static fires, and then this move back to the build site to get the rest of its engines installed, and then we'll probably see like another 2 or 3 spin primes, and then I don't know, 3 to 5 static fires if I had to guess.
Yeah, because I would not be surprised if they do a full 13 engine static fire just off the landing tank alone, just to test all that plumbing. I would not be shocked at that. Or do a 13 and do like a full down select, so they go 13, 5, 3, and then shut it off. I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that too.
That's almost what I'd expect for operational. The 30 to a 13, and then the shutdown sequences. But for commissioning, probably closer to, once all 33 are there, it's going to be another selective, probably another 5 spin primes at least.
I want to see one. What I really hope they do with these, and I kind of hope they do it with the 10 only, or unless they only stick with 3. I want them to go for more than 10 seconds. Like, go for like 20. And especially with only 10 on board, you can run all 10 at max thrust, and the booster won't care. It's not going to go anywhere. The thrust of those 10 engines is less than how much LOX you have on board. Like, yeah, I think that would be really cool to see.
I don't want to see the spin prime stressing for how fast they'll be able to supply the startup gases for all 33.
Certainly some interesting testing coming up for sure. I'm sure that we'll be seeing a lot of that all month and probably all through April as well, if I had to guess. But yeah, moving us over to Massey's. I think that was the last question, right, Indy? Or sorry, Sanchez?
It is the last question, but real fast, we wanted to thank Crane Man for his $120 donation. And he says, Hi, Mauricio. It's time for my yearly RGV early access payment. The rest you can use for fuel for the flyovers. Kind regards, Crane Man. Thank you, Crane Man.
Awesome. Definitely appreciate the support. Y'all definitely make it easier for us to continue to do these every week. So thank you for all the donations. You see the outcome of those donations every single week. So we thank y'all for that. Moving over to Sanchez, it appears that we now have a 4th ship transport stand, which was in the process of being delivered. So that's nice to see. Starting to wonder if some of these are destined for Florida, or if they do plan to actually need 4 of them here in the near future.
I would expect they're going to build all the transport stands here and just ship them because the teams that know how to build them are here.
Well, I mean,
Maybe.
as far as building them, it's really just welding them together,
Right.
really. But I mean, and they do have the entire GSC facility at Roberts Road right now, so I figure they probably could build them down there as well too. But I mean, I guess if might as well do it here if you are going to be sending ships and boosters down there anyways. You can just deliver the transport stands with them. And on that note, I guess when they make it to the port, I imagine they'll probably put them back vertical, possibly, or I don't know if they'll really transport them horizontal all the way to the Giga Bay at Roberts Road. It seems more likely that if they can, they would put it back vertical at the port. But I suppose that would require them to actually no. It's probably going to be horizontal at the port because it's going to be the same location where everything else comes in at 39A. So, or not 39A, sorry, KSC. But yeah, so 4th transport stand. That's very interesting. The other 3 are in various stages of completion. They're all like structurally complete. I think only one currently has clamps on it though. That is
both do. I think there's 2.
Okay,
completed.
yeah. So these two fully completed, and ready to go. And while we're over here, so this is something that we kind of talked about a few minutes ago, as far as with Ship 39. So it was weird, in my opinion, that they did those initial cryo tests without this, because I kind of expected that they would want to do this at the same time, instead of having to send it back to the build site and basically do what they're doing right now, which is wait for this to be completed. So as far as I can tell, it looks like it's mostly finished at this point. Let me see if I can get a good top down. Yeah, so they've added the 3 RVAC actuators, and then you can see the 3 actuators for the ship for the center engines in here. And really just looks like they're finishing the walkway, but other than that, are the clamps?
Got to put the ladder in and then the hydraulics in, and then she should be done. Yeah, ladder hydraulics, finish the work, finish the walking platforms, put up the railing, and just good to go.
Yeah, it looks like they're pretty much ready just to lower down the HPU that centers.
Yeah, right. that little square right there, it's kind of obvious where the HPU is going to go.
Right there.
Yeah.
Do they have any of that stuff out here right now? I don't see it.
The stairs are over by the GSC building. The railing's right there. There's some of it, yeah. The rest of the walkway is along that edge.
Yeah, so I imagine this is basically what Ship 39 is waiting on. I wonder if they're even doing anything to it right now, or if it's just literally sitting in Mega Bay 2 waiting for this to be finished. I have a feeling that's probably what's happening. Which, on that note, I'm kind of surprised they waited as long as they did to do this.
Well, what they started construction of this thing, like of the actual stand. They started it a few months ago, but it wasn't. They didn't start to get the centerpiece started until like maybe a month or 2 ago.
Well, it got delayed a couple weeks from 18 because like they're originally going to probably build this over Masses, because that's where all the legs and stuff started showing up.
Right. Yeah, so I would expect maybe 2 weeks until we see 39 roll out, if not slightly longer.
Yeah, either they skip the thrust sims altogether, which I hope they don't do because of how important. I just don't want them to skip any testing. And it really doesn't feel like they're going to skip any testing, not with how slow they're taking it with booster. And then roll it back, get engines installed, and you can do a lot of other work on it while it's in the bay right now, like get the raceway covers on and other things. Probably install the FTS box because that wasn't even installed yet either. And then get it thrust in, get it in. 6 engines shouldn't take that long to install. Get it out and static fire it. But should take, hopefully take too long. But of course, there's other things that still have to get tested.
So while we're over here, they haven't made much progress on the that horizontal transport system, but we do have some weird steel down here. Is this for the bunker at Pad 1?
I believe it's Gigabay.
It's Gigabay.
Those are the top rails, or the top columns for the bridge crane rails.
Okay. Weird that they're over here right now.
Yeah.
Especially considering they're not really ready for that yet. So let me just go back here really quick and make sure I didn't miss anything.
Up in the middle square was by those under those blue tarps, along all those next to the racks on the right side of them, all those little.
Wait, these?
Yeah, along those all those skids. Those are all offload load stations for the tank farm.
You replace all the janky ones they currently have.
Yeah, all the ones that are currently.
Don't know if I have a clear image of those.
That might have been the gut.
Yeah. They're right there out of view. I don't think I have a closer view. This might be good. Kind of.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what happens when you're at 4,000 feet higher than normal. But yeah, that's interesting. So I guess we'll see those installed soon at the launch site.
Yeah, probably. I mean, some of the methane's probably going to move to where they put those bollards are in, but we'll get to that at the launch site. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that they're yet another iteration of their offload stations.
I mean, that's, it's probably a good thing.
Right?
It's standardizing everything at once too, so that makes sense.
And I think that truck might have been more of the hydraulic actuator cages that are going to the super crusher.
Yeah, I saw those and I was kind of wondering if they looked like they were meant for the static fire test stand or the thrust plug testing thing, but that's already kind of outfitted already. So you're right. Yeah. You're probably right. These are going to Massey's. Let's see. Anything else down here?
No, just a mystery truss that they're building.
And mystery rings.
Yeah, where is it? I wish I could make these thumbnails bigger, but then we wouldn't be able to see anything else. You were talking about this ring?
Yeah, some mystery rings here and there, and then there's that truss section that Alex mentioned, which is a little bit more towards the inventory tent.
Well, on this one, we see the cradles they made for horizontal transport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's left of
by the white truck, there's a second one, top up, straight up, right in the dead center
When you say white truck, you have to be
Okay.
more specific.
Yeah,
than
I'm
I
like,
see right there, that one.
that.
Yeah, the cradle for.
I think this has been at the airport for a very long time. Pretty sure that's where this is from. I have to go back and look through.
Might be,
Uh,
but yeah, that's.
Interesting. So what was I looking for just a minute ago? That mystery frame
Right,
or
right
the
across
truss.
by the paint.
It's down here, right?
Yeah, the paint. Lean to. Yeah, I think it would be covered right by your
It's
thumbnails.
barely done.
Now on the
No,
right.
I know. I'm just wondering what this is.
Oh, there's the frames for the cladding.
Gigabay.
Oh, for the okay.
Yeah, their
Oh,
track
nice.
setup
They're
they have
putting-
here is cool.
Yeah, like
Is
an
this like
assembly
a
line.
conveyor?
The outer, those are stationary where they're building the panels, but the orange track, if you scroll down a little bit more, they have the overhead that.
Do they have like a temporary overhead crane just to help build all this stuff, basically?
Yeah, right there. That whole.
That's kind of cool. That's cool.
Wow, that's a pretty cool little assembly line they got going on there. So we'll start seeing these first these go on the front, right? I guess we may as well. Sorry, let me just check what I was looking for over here really quick.
Straight up.
Go up.
This
right
right
There
here.
it is.
Yep.
Yeah, and we didn't have any ideas what this is for still yet, right?
I mean, any
Isn't it?
speculation could easily make us eat pro right now.
Right.
Reaction frame for structure stand, but
It's no, it's a breakover.
reaction frame for the breakover.
There you go.
So I guess we're kind of moving over to Gigabay, since we were talking about the cladding. So they have started to add the what do you call these?
Just frames.
Zieglerts?
I don't know.
These aren't Zieglerts, right? They're just regular.
They were, yeah, from the ground photos, they were adding basically curtain wall hangers.
Right. So we'll start, and they've basically gone around most of the perimeter. Where I don't see them. Oops, not the one I was looking for. So yeah, especially down here, we can see them adding all of those in. So that makes me curious about the ones that we're seeing at Sanchez, though. Currently, I'm guessing those are for this side.
I'm thinking those they might just be putting as spacers to level out the first level, and then they're going to put the finished. They're going to pop those off with finished panels. They're just using those, I think, as alignment right now, but
the ones we're seeing at Sanchez seem to be perfectly sized for this right here. I feel like these edges really.
right. But when all of the panels are going to come basically pre-assembled, and they're just going to snap them in place. Like they're not going to be stick built like this on site. They'll be all built over. On their
Right. So you're thinking that all of this is temporary?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me see where they're. Why would you need temporary?
They're doing it as alignment. The finished panels are going to come completely finished. It's a curtain wall, so they'll just drop it. There's hangers on each of the columns, and it's not Zieglerts.
Don't you think it'd be more likely that they, do this stick build for this first level and then start hanging them for the other ones?
That's why I mean that they're there for alignment reasons, so that they have the first level is leveled and it has to conform to the slab. Everything else, once you have your reference, you just build up from that. And they're using essentially just pretty bog standard curtain walls.
Right. yeah, I'm really excited that they're starting to do that. But it definitely means the views that we have are getting even more obscured. But we still see through the aisle for the most part. But still sad times coming up in a way. But yeah, lots of great work on the Gigabay. Looks like they're up to the second level right here with concrete on this side. And I think they did 2 levels in the middle, and I don't think they've quite caught up on this one. I think they're only on the first level so far.
Slowly but surely. There's a lot of concrete,
Yes.
a lot of steel.
Yeah, and this level that they're currently working on is going pretty quickly. I'm still wondering when we'll see these temporary beams taken down. I wonder if it's going to be after the roof is complete or once they start working on the roof. It's
When
still
the
just
tower
such a mystery to me.
When the tower cranes start coming down.
That's another thing I've also been wondering. So will they have to bring like the LR 11,000 here to like remove the tower crane?
They'll lower themselves. They'll take themselves apart and lower themselves down.
How can they lower themselves down if the roof is complete?
There'll be holes in the roof around them, and they'll fill in the holes after they drop them.
What, like a 1300 would be enough? Or 1300 with a jib? Would that be enough for like a 16?
Most of tower cranes, it's in the whole lift plan, how they assemble and take them apart. They're fairly...
I meant to finish the roof.
Yeah. But I mean, the hole in the roof is probably something they could even do with temporary, like sort of setups. Not quite sure what the word would be, but yeah, I mean,
because they're vertical. They're vertical for the most part while they're disassembling themselves, right? So like you only need like basically this sized hole.
Yeah, and
here.
They've been using tower cranes they know how to disassemble them.
I just can't wait to see it. It'll look cool to see it in action because I don't often get to see it.
Yeah.
Not unless you're really paying attention to like skyscraper builds and other things,
Yeah, I'm hoping that they use them for putting up some of the workstations, but we probably won't be that lucky.
Yeah, I have a feeling they'll use smaller cranes to outfit all the workstations. Sadly,
it takes so long.
I just wish they would do it before the roof gets on instead of waiting until after. But I have a feeling they're going to wait. I think it would get in the way to. Well, I suppose they could do it before they start doing the roof, but yeah,
they might start that penthouse area. Because it looks like they get up to about 100 meters. If I remember correctly, I don't know. BJ's been following this a lot more than I have. I think it's the 100-meter mark is where they've got for the transfer aisle bridge cranes, which gives them margin for an 80-meter tall booster, and then above that is like the penthouse, if you want to call it that, the top part of the bay. They last like 15 meters, whatever they're going to put in there.
I mean, there's, I think, one more set of full height columns, and those all have the plates for the roof trusses, at least at Roberts Road.
Or maybe it was like a half column.
It's still crazy to me that we're going to expect to see another one of these. Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing one here at Starbase and one at Roberts Road. I wouldn't be surprised if they build another like 4 or 5 of them. I'm going to be entirely honest. With how much they want to fly and how many vehicles they want to make, they need like 10 of them.
Come on, Ryan. They said that they could build 100,000 starships a year with one of those.
Yeah, okay, sure. Whatever. Keep dreaming. I'm sorry. No way. No.
Yeah, there are certain numbers that have been thrown out there that I personally find hard to believe. With like
in a perfect
I
world,
believe maybe the Star Factory could probably crank out that many, but I don't know if the bays can.
Stacking 3 complete ships a day. Impressive.
Sure, whatever. Yeah, I in a perfect world, I think I ran through the math at one point. I think it was they could do like 100 ships a year out of that, and that it depends on how many of the turntables that they're using for ships and how many are for boosters. I think it's like if they use 4 for ships, they can do like 100 something ships a year. And that's assuming like all 4 turntables running nonstop, and they're stacking each ship within 3 weeks of each other. Because basically they stack a ship, and after 3 weeks of stacking, they transfer it over to the construction stand. They start stacking the next one. They finish constructing those, and then they cryo test them all, and then they just keep going and going and going, and they can get like 100 or something out in a year, and that's no issues, no problems, working perfectly.
Yeah, except they're going to transition from a different building mythology to get past that.
My prediction for the future.
Go on, Zack.
My prediction for the future is that we'll see that second building. I have a feeling they'll do something to enable themselves to build back here, and I imagine they'll extend the Star Factory. They may not necessarily connect them, given that all their electrical stuff is back here. But if they built another factory, that would be booster, and then you'd have just a gigabay for booster, and then 2 for the ship, and all of this would be ship. It'll be a massive conversion, but I that's my opinion on the future.
The docks are wanting to build. I think they'll be bringing sub-assemblies and just stacking here, sort of like Boeing does with their factories.
My curious
thing. Docks there are for sending things.
The dock they're asking to lease for 50 years and build that almost 87 acres, so it's larger than what we're seeing on screen here. Is not. It won't be ready for moving stuff to Florida.
Like for years.
Yeah, it's that parcel
so
there.
Basically, is it this one?
Yes.
Or this one?
No, it's the one with a little bit of grain.
The shark fin thing, yeah, shape kind of thing.
The one that should have perhaps a slightly easier NEPA pathway.
1 second, everybody.
The biggest thing I'm wondering, and this kind of is talk about Roberts Road, is because they're learning how to use Star Factory and the bays here. I wonder how I know they originally asked for the Star Factory is gonna be like 1.5 million square feet. I wonder if they're gonna try to make that like a 2 million square foot factory and do like 3/4 of that factory is gonna be ships, or maybe they split it half and half or something between ship and booster, and then they make like 2 gigabays for ship and a gigabay for booster out at Roberts Road, and then on top of that make a couple of hangars the size of gigabay. Just you don't need to put any bridge cranes in, no work stands, just storage. And boom. There.
Storm on orbit.
That's because the logistics for maintaining the amount of vehicles they want to maintain. I mean, Delta is the largest airline in the world, and they have nearly 1,000 planes. You want 1,000 ships, starships? Where are you putting these things?
Orbit.
I'm going to move us forward a little bit because I just got a phone call for an emergency situation, but we will still continue this show, and then I'll probably just try and keep this to 2 hours so I can handle that. But yeah, so moving to the Megabay 1, as Ryan was saying earlier, the transfer tube for Booster 20 is suspended right here. Not suspended, but it's basically vertical on its little breakover stand. Yeah. So they're preparing to install that. Do we know if they've done that yet at this point, or if it's still sitting there?
Close the door. So maybe
Okay.
they're doing it right now. So
That would make sense.
yeah,
That's good. Good to see them making progress on that. So hopefully there won't be too much of time delay in between flight 12 and 13. Although, I mean, yeah, I mean, if flight 12 is not until potentially May, then I feel like 13 should be fairly close behind. They should be well finished with this by then. Actually, they should be finished with this probably within the next, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
if they can go as fast as 19 to finish it off, they should be able to finish Booster 20 by the end of the month, and hopefully have it out to. The question then becomes: is how long does it take them to get it ready for cryo? Could it be ready for cryo mid-April, or are we talking end of April? So we'll see.
Yeah. So Star Factory, let's see. I don't think there's much at the Star Factory right now. Usually we really just look in the parking lot over here. And I didn't really see anything in there this week. So,
clock
and the
hand's
village,
gone.
the what?
The clock hand that's been sitting out here, what we called the clock hand for the longest time, is gone. I have to go back and pull the pictures out for it, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'll skip the village. I don't think we, we do have the future rocket garden, which is, I mean, not really necessarily taking shape, but at least they've kind of graded it. I'm not sure what they got. This was here before, right? Or is this new? This is new.
New. Looks like retaining walls, footings.
Yeah, I wonder what they're gonna. Maybe like a garden,
Probably.
a raised garden bed.
A garden in the rocket garden.
I mean, that's what it looks like.
We have some symmetry going right now. So.
Yeah, right. They're gonna mess up that symmetry. You know they are. They're gonna do something wonky with it, and it's just gonna mess with everyone's OCD because that is SpaceX. They love to do that.
I don't believe you, Ryan. I've never seen that once.
No, never. Just look at the tank farm. What?
I'm going to skip the rest of the village and take us to the launch site. We'll start with the ASU, I guess. So the ASU is coming along. They doing a lot of the adding all the smaller pipes in between all of these other components, the heat exchangers. Sorry, and the pumps. Actually, there's no heat exchangers down here yet, right? Just pumps.
There are. There is intercoolers. All those tubes are water-air intercoolers for the compressors.
Yeah, one thing I noticed this week that was really interesting, because I had to go back and look at other ASUs. The way that they've braced this thing is interesting. And that something that I don't think they would have done if it wasn't as close as it is to the launch pad. Because let's see, get a farther view right here if I can.
It
get a
does
good
kind of
lined
line
up
up
view.
with the trench exit a little bit.
Have to see. I don't know if I have. Okay, actually. It's pretty good. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily line up with it directly, but it's close enough to the point where, you're going to have the plume kind of spreading out like this, like in a wedge shape pretty much out here. So they're basically bracing this because it's going to have to be, in the plume, which is interesting. I don't know. One of the things that gets to me about what they've done here is that I feel like if they would have just waited a little bit longer, never mind. That would have required them to completely rebuild the tower. I mean, I
keep talking.
Keep talking.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they should have rebuilt the tower. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, he's on our side now, Alex.
Finally.
Yes.
At minimum, I feel like they could have chopped the top off and put a new one on and rotated it this way and then redone all of the railing and, everything, move everything, that would have been quite the task. But I feel like if they were this close to getting this land approved, that's what I would have done.
I honestly think if they really wanted to do, because not only that, but the place where you supposedly might want to put your methane again is kind of right at the exhaust exit as well.
Well,
Like,
it's yes,
Is methane the methane farm is
yes, yes, right
That's not-
there.
I would assume so. I mean, and then they use the extra room to add more locks and LN2, so that once it's all said and done, you can have 2.5 launches worth of storage.
Well,
You know,
the other reason to keep the trench this way is if they eventually want to do sun synchronous, it'll lessen the amount of your dreaded pad avoidance or tower avoidance. Because when they tip over heading south, the pad 2's tower would get cooked.
also, it's easier for a booster to come back on a tower oriented this way than it is for a tower oriented the way Pad 2 is.
Yeah, it's weird because I just feel like pad 2 is fairly well placed, I would say. I guess there probably is going to end up being something in front of it over here. But I imagine
if
there's
I were
quite a lot of space in front of that, more so than what we see over here, because that methane farm is going to be very, very close.
if I were redesigning this launch site from scratch, the Pad 2 moves to the south, right to the corner of that, all the way down. You basically slide the tower and the pad all the way down to the corner of the new expansion, so it's right at the edge. So your exhaust is kind of going. It might still hit the little trapezoid there, but it's at least it's gonna miss everything else. And then you take pad 1 and you move it all the way to that corner. You move it towards the beach, towards that corner right there, and that exhaust is out of the way of everything. And then you build your entire tank farm in the middle there. You have your water deluges and all the other stuff in the middle of the pad, and your 2 pads are at the corners.
Ryan,
That's how I would have done it.
Ryan, let me stop you right there and pull up 37. Oh wait, sorry. I've seen this movie. Sorry, I couldn't help it.
But you mean putting the pads at the corners of the pad and keeping it away from everything? What?
Yeah, weird that.
Weird. The problem is that SpaceX didn't have the land to do it when they originally built this. They had to make with what they had, and they got the land, and now they're going to have to deal with the fact that they're going to be putting stuff right in the exhaust plume of 2 separate pads. Like, it is what it is. They'll have to deal with it at this launch site, but the 39A and 37 should be a lot better.
The humorous thing, the plumes they modeled for their EIS is less than what they're actually seeing.
Nice.
Yeah, so there's that.
Well,
I guess
it's called an experiment. We'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this handles all of that plume coming this way. I mean, I think it'll be fine. It's just going to be brown after a while, probably after the first time.
It'll be brown just from the dust.
I was about to say, everything at Starbase.
Yeah, I mean, all of this is everything they painted is slowly getting dusty, and that'll probably be even more so after the static fire test. But with the methane farm, it looks like they are finished with the piles for the 2 additional tanks that they're putting in here. Or is this supposed to be 3? It's 3, right?
That's good for 3.
2 here, but I'm guessing we'll bring the 3rd one over here.
That's what I'm thinking, is they're slowly going to move.
Once they finally take those old ones out. They're making good progress on hooking those in, though. They're not that. It seems like they're pretty close to hooking them in. Those should be ready to. Those should hope at this rate. Those should be ready to go by the wet dress rehearsal.
They still haven't They still haven't
What?
put the outlets yet.
Yeah, definitely not. And this is, I think there's probably a separate tank that needs to be brought in here too. Alex, do you know what the little thing underneath there is? It's like a common manifold that goes across to all of them.
It's a. I'm not exactly sure how they're doing the bog management, but it's the same tanks they have under there. It's
Right.
it may be an end flash tank.
And I'm guessing these are the same thing as this right here. So I'm assuming we'll probably see another smaller tank right here.
No, those are the three for the three additional tanks.
Oh, these are just sitting here waiting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Basically
you
the same as
don't.
this.
When do you think these tanks would be operational? I think they'd be in
Month.
time for Flight 12?
Oh,
No.
12 for sure.
Okay,
You
so
think 12?
Yeah, they're
So if they're operational for Flight 12, that means you would likely need them to be operational for a full stack wet dress rehearsal. So because you in theory, or at least a tanking test from those, right? In theory,
no, they.
No?
I mean, they might do one anyway since it's a new stack, but they've have done wholesale changes to this farm with minimal
I
vehicle side testing.
I
Why would you-
expect them to do a wet dress rehearsal for this for the full stack anyways. But I was just curious if these would be ready for it.
I don't think they'd be needed as far as for testing. You open the valves and you get the flow, or you don't.
Okay.
Why
I
would you
was
think
just
they would
curious.
need this? Why would you think they would need this active before Flight 12?
I mean, they could have it active by 12.
No, I didn't say they would need it. I would say, would it be?
I think it'd be sort of the same state when they were decommissioned out the LOX tanks after, and they had the other ones, the horizontals ready. I forgot which flight that was.
That was, I think that was between 3
Three?
and 4.
Yeah, where it was sort of,
4.
it was ready to roll, and they just had to cut over some valves. And they did.
Yeah, my question was more of a would they be ready, not if they needed them. I doubt they need them. If they have to, they'll keep some of the older tanks around to have enough capacity if for some reason they needed that. But it was more of would they be ready to be used in a wet dress rehearsal once it comes around?
No, and they've been maintaining outlet count rather than tank count. When they decommissioned the small 2 bulk storage, they had the 2 large ones were fully online. So with these, they'll probably when all 6 of them, they'll probably be able to pretty much take the rest of it out.
Okay.
It's funny because they're using 3 outlets on these 4 horizontals, or 3 outlets are combining down to 1. Yeah, if you zoom in, the center quad coming out of the tank. Those 3 are all tank outs, and they converge down to a single outlet.
Just to increase the amount of flow they're able to.
Yeah. I think they want to maintain a slow velocity through that orifice from the tank.
That would certainly make sense. Looks like they got a new nitrogen supplier. I'm surprised they're not getting it from Lind yet.
Lind's been here for... I've seen them here for LOX.
Okay, from the new ASU?
Yeah. As well as at Massey's, there's been a lot of Lind trucks on some of the previous flyovers.
So moving over to pad A. Sorry to speed us through this a little bit. But yeah, they're making good progress on the sheet piling wall. It looks like they're probably about 2/3 on this side, and they still need to do the commodities trench, which I'm assuming will probably be a little bit different than what we see at pad A. It'll probably be closer to what we see at 39A, which is deeper and wider.
Yeah, they've
And
already...
that extra expansion area too.
Yeah, and they
extra expansion ring.
already put the bump out for where's the propellant trench in the bunker. Just
Yeah, and relation to Pet A2, they seem to be trying to push ahead with getting that land behind them a lot farther along than the rest of it all. My guess is because of construction and staging, I guess.
I mean, part of me
What are you
wonders
referring to?
right by the orange or yellow HPU by the sheet piles, right below your cursor is where you were just there up to the to the right of the sheet pile wall. There's a yellow HPU right there. Yeah, that's the start of the sheet pile walls for the edge of the bunker, the GSC bunker. Yeah.
Right.
So I've already started that layout.
Today, let's see. Okay, yeah, I see it
Yeah.
coming right here.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so this trench will be a little bit deeper, and the commodity trench will be wider and deeper, probably twice as deep as the one for pad 2. But yeah, making really good progress. They're also doing the deep soil mixing, jet grouting over here, and I think they've done some down in this area as well too. But they're kind of trying to stay out of the way of the sheet piling. So yeah, interesting going along the edges over here first, it looks like. And still haven't removed. Wait, did they?
yeah,
Oh, they
last
removed the
week.
wall?
Yeah, they're sneaky.
Okay.
Yeah, they removed
Finally.
the wall. They just got to remove that.
Both
Eventually,
retention
that'll
pond?
go. But
Actually, we're not sure whether or not they removed this pond, right?
hey,
Like we're pretty sure they filled it in, but it also kind of looks like they removed it.
it's hard to tell, to be honest.
Yeah.
Could go either way.
I imagine this one will be gone within the next 2 weeks, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's until something gets in the way.
Yeah,
And they
once
still
it
have
gets in the
to
way
remove
is
all the
when it
pipes.
goes.
All the pipes, the underground pipes for the
Yeah.
deluge system are still down here, I think.
Oh
think they
yeah, those
ripped
are,
some of them out, but yeah.
there's still some.
Yeah,
I
the
think.
ones in here are still present, I believe.
Yeah, again, once they get in the way, those will come out.
Yeah, I think all of this will be very different soon. Once they finish the jet grouting, I imagine we'll start seeing them strip all this out too. And I wonder if the break room's going to go away, if the mega bunker is the replacement for this.
I wonder if they're gonna try to keep a good solid patch around there of concrete, so they can build the roof and do the roof of that tower before they anything else, unless they just don't care and they'll do that later.
Part of their approval stated that they had to maximize the use of their current hardscape during construction.
So they're not gonna.
Why?
So basically, they have to keep as much concrete around as possible.
Right, during they didn't want like staging and stuff happening on top of the former wetlands just for contaminants and that sort of stuff.
Until it's like paved,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
That makes sense.
Which is why I wonder if that that place where they get the spot where they got a little with that gray geo right there, that big patch. Wonder if they'll lay that out and then concrete it all so they can use it for staging.
I think so.
Like
I mean,
basically stage all the bunker steel and trench wall sections and all that jazz. Just kind of stage there.
yeah, it's sort of what they had at Pad 2.
Yeah, it does look like they're really focused on this area right here.
And they even put a subsurface drain around the perimeter of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that what this is?
Yeah, they had the weeping tiles last week.
Yeah, so I guess what they lay out all that textile, they lay that down and then set up some rebar and pour a nice little slab to use, basically.
Yep. Yeah, because it looks like they might be finally covering it with a sand layer, which would be the top layer before they put concrete.
So I could have concrete in there in a week or two then, or 2 weeks maybe. Well, maybe not that long, maybe not that short, because they got to lay a lot of rebar. So
It's SpaceX
Anyway.
concrete. Come on.
yeah, right.
I just realized we haven't taken questions in a really long time, so let's probably do that really quick before I move to pad 2.
I have lots of questions for you guys. First, we want to thank Drew Nar for his donation of $5 Canadian. And Drew asked Zach, could they use nitrogen to film cool the flame trench walls, or would that cause spalling similar to the water deluge on concrete?
I don't know how they would do that. I do think there's a small chance they might be doing it inside the deluge system, possibly, but I will save that for later.
Okay, Kiwi Liam asks, why does this new ship thrust test struggle need to be on the ship static fire stand? Ship static fire
It's
stand.
not a static fire stand.
They basically they're just making a new cryo stand for ship thrust sims, and the only place that stand is compatible to hook up with the QD is the static fire is over the static fire trench. And
at the launch site, they put in pads to accept a stand like this as well.
Yep.
It's almost as if they prefer having the ship at this elevation when they're doing these operations for reasons.
I guess they like that stand design. So otherwise, I don't know why they would build a new thrust sim stand using it. We all thought it was going to be a second static fire stand until we're like, wait, what?
Actually, it makes me wonder. I mean, they may end up raising the Q. It kind of looks like it already is raised to some degree from where it was before, right?
No,
Not yet.
Yeah. The ship's always been exceptionally tall.
Well, yeah, because that QD has been the same height since they started using that cryo stand, and that's been ship 25 and onwards. The QD has not changed height because the only time that QD, it changed height twice. It changed height between the SN series and S20 when it went from inside the ship skirt to onto the side of the ship, and then from 20 to 24 when they moved it up a ring. And then that's when they had to start the shenanigans with the ship QD. Shenanigans.
Next question.
Crayman's curious, how far were they with building the Pad B flame trench when they started building the Pad B OLM?
See, that was October of 24 when they started the mount.
They
were digging it out, I think.
The tower base was done around June of.
Yeah, the tower was stacked the tower was already stacked when they started the mount, and I think they were well into tiebacks on when they started the mount. Yeah.
I mean, it was last January. It was still, they hadn't even started with the whatchamacallit yet, putting the speed core in.
Yeah, it took forever to do this tiebacks and dig it out.
Yeah, October, I think, is when the OLM parts started showing up.
Yeah, that started October. I think it was literally October 1st. I have it saved here. Yeah, October 1st.
I would answer this question,
but
I'm going through the entire timeline on Friday.
Exactly. Hey, we're doing you a solid, so. Luckily, Zach didn't have to drop in.
I should have said that. Watch Zach's video. That's what I should have said.
Yeah, I'm just happy Zach didn't have to drop in and go, you guys were wrong.
Aji's wondering, do they have any land up the road to make another factory? If they want thousands of starships, the Star Factory is pretty undersized.
I think we kind of answered that one. Like, they don't have any other land right now, but I suspect they'll try and get more to expand out into that wetland area, possibly.
There's a large land swap that they're in flight with Fish and Wildlife. That'll 700 acres or almost 700 acres, I thought, worth.
Mokita's wondering, could you explain again why the inner bays only go up to that point now? Aren't boosters bigger?
Which bays?
Gigabays, I believe.
Well, Gigabay
Or Mega?
Well, the Mega Bay can only is at its limit with the booster, and the booster is at its limit to use with Mega Bay because, well, they can already barely get out of the door right now. Giga Bay will be more than tall enough and have more than a wide enough door for Block 4 boosters, because Block 4 boosters is going to be 80 meters, and I think the internal bays of Giga Bay are going to be like 100 meters. So they got plenty of room.
I think what they're referring to are these walls on the outside. Why they only come up to right here.
Well, they're not done yet.
No, this is as high as these are going.
Oh, you mean the interior partition walls?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what they're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think if that's what they're referring to, then it because you don't really have any work above this point other than on the top of the booster specifically. And I believe they may possibly end up having some sort of workstations above this point, possibly. But yeah, and it may also have something to do with bridge cranes to some degree. We don't necessarily know for sure. But yeah, that is an interesting detail that they stop right here. I'm kind of surprised they don't go all the way up to the top.
And Drew asks, Zach, how long is your lease on MB1? Maybe we'll see you in GB2 after that?
I don't reveal the future plans.
Fair enough. And then Nal Bandian has two different questions. First one is, can you all individually give a guess on launch numbers for 2026 and 2027? What you all expecting for launch cadence? Will reusability of boosters and ships kick in by the end of this year to help?
2026, I would probably say 3 or 4, maybe 5. And then next year, I think they'll really try and get as close as they can to that 25 limit. And I feel like they could probably, they'll definitely require reuse of boosters for sure. Ships, maybe not so. They may be able to ramp up ship production significantly by then. Yeah, a lot. It's hard to guess that, honestly. I think most people's guesses as far as what their flight cadence was going to be last year and this year are probably wrong. So.
And then their second question is, I was surprised at how short the new catch arms are. Are you guys? This seems like such little room for error or slight deviation of the landing. That's a giant risk, right? Or are you guys confident?
I'll just say this. For the, three catches they've made? Yeah, 12, 14, and 15. All those catches landed inside on the inner half of the sticks. So they've already been able to prove that they can make that margin work. Would I like it to have more margin? Sure. Does it look weird? Yeah, but they can do it. They've proven it.
Have we, on Pad 1, did we ever see them put a vehicle at the full extent of the sticks ever?
No, it was either in the middle or on the inside when they went to catch it.
And we've never even seen them shove the vehicle all the way as close to the inside as they can stack them. I mean, they have probably a 8-meter catch rail that's they can fully utilize, but
Yeah, they've proven they can nail it with 3 flights. I mean, granted, Block 3 booster's different, but they just need to do that one the one simulated landing with 19, assuming they can get to that point with the booster, and once they verify that the landing profile works and everything, the 20 should be caught. I don't really have much doubt about it.
Did they ever definitively say for the ship that they wanted 1 simulated? I know for the the booster, I know for the ship they want at least 2, but
my guess is they'll do a simulated for 19. I highly doubt they try to catch 19 on the first try. I just kind of I'm like 99.9% sure they won't try that, but it is SpaceX, so
I mean, Blue wanted to catch their first booster.
Landed.
I mean,
yeah.
Same diff.
Same diff. Right. I mean, maybe we'll go with a maybe, but I don't think they will.
Yeah, I mean, I think boosters will be fairly regularly reflown, definitely by the end of the year.
Oh yeah, I expect 19 to be one of those ones that it's a fully expended flight for 12. They test all the new systems with the pad, with the ship and booster. If it's all good to go, then you immediately go back into catching and recovery from booster 20 onward. And they just go from there. That's my guess. Unless they're so worried that they need 19 back for more flights. And they want to try it.
So you're saying there is a
question.
chance. Okay, never mind. Go on, Eddie.
Last question is from Kanosol. Why are they adding a roof tower to Tower 2 now and not when they built the tower?
I forgot.
Well, I guess that moves us into Pad B stuff. So we'll go ahead and start with that roof. I think that it really the question is why they're putting the roof on at all, and I think that really has to do, if I had to guess, primarily with the ship. When it's returning to the launch pad, I have a feeling there's probably more of a possibility of the plume hitting the top of the tower with the ship. It's also possible that they may want to actually be more aggressive with the pitch over maneuver, and that could actually throw flames at the top of the integration tower potentially. So we'll see what they're going to do with that. But I mean, in my opinion, this looks like they're expecting flames to hit the top of the roof at some point, and they don't want, because to me this looks more, it's not just to prevent, like, because I've always wondered why they didn't fully clad the roof, just to prevent water from accessing all of the raining down on all of the pulleys and everything else that's up here. But I don't think that's what this is for. I think this is probably to allow plume interaction with the top of the roof. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that.
From the ground photos, that beam is about 3 feet, a meter tall. And the way from the latest ground photos, it looks like they're attaching it, because it looks like it'll be removable or maintenance. There is basically 4 pins, 1 for each column. It's sort of the same way like the crane booms are attached. So yeah, I think spicy approaches and aggressive turns right off the pads, they're going to start tipping over for their gravity turns right from jump.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, oh, go ahead.
No, please carry
on. No, it's fine. I mean, I was going to say it's interesting that it's going to rest flat on top of the existing roof instead of being, even like an additional floor. That part kind of surprises me, but yeah, that really just gives an indication of what the true purpose of it is, just a shield.
And I got 2 more questions for you guys that just came in. El Hulto asks, if B-20 is caught, do you think it will be reused? And if so, will it be caught again or expended? Excuse me.
I think if they catch Booster 20, they will reuse that thing till they can't reuse it anymore. I have this feeling they are at the point that if this design is proved at all, they'll of course make changes. This is still a test program, but I think if they catch 20 and it's still in good enough shape, they'll fly that thing a couple of times until like maybe they get it back and they look and go, oh, maybe we can't fly this again. But if they've built it the way we think they built it and the way they probably should have built it, Booster 20 could fly 10, 15 flights. I wouldn't be that surprised. I wouldn't be surprised Booster 20 to see to the end of the Block 3 days, to be honest, if they really wanted to do it that way. Because they need to build, as much as they want to build a lot of boosters, if you can get them back and refly them again and again and again, you could focus more on ships than boosters.
And even if they're just salvaging any of the 33 and Raptors is a gold mine.
Or the grid fins. I mean, those grid fins probably can't be that cheap to make.
I don't want to talk about grid fins.
No? Either way, I fully expect if they get 20 back, they will fly that thing until they can't fly it anymore, basically. Or until it blows up on a cent. Kind of what they're doing to like 1067 right now. They are flying it until something happens to it, basically.
Like, yeah,
All right.
another 10 flights.
We'll see.
Missing Tools is wondering, where's the direct vehicle to ground comms antenna located on the booster? Also, does the FTS have ground control override link?
I mean, the FTS inhibitor is on the QD. Everything else, I think that's probably proprietary info that we don't know.
I know
this guy trying to figure out how to trigger it. What is he?
I know that the Starlink antennas they use.
What's the access code?
Right? What's the access code? I know Starlink antennas are used on the ground. I'm not that surprised. I bet those are used as part of vehicle comms. And not only that, they can also talk to the vehicle through the data ports through the QD. And that routes the tower, which is routed to their whole network. So
then they have the old school V8 or UHF, the normal low data bandwidth stuff where they have that one. As far as for where they're broadcasting, go to the FCC website and search. All of that's licensed, so it'd be listed somewhere there. But yeah.
All right, and we want to thank Izada for their $5 donation. Thank you so much, Izada. And 2 more questions just came in. Veterinary X3N is asking, how do they move the vehicles on the chopsticks? How many degrees can they turn them? And how many meters can they move them horizontally, especially in the catch case?
I think, did Ryan ever release the video on it? They have full 6 degrees of freedom for moving the vehicles on the sticks. I mean, granted, it's not when they're doing the stacking operations, they don't have a lot of range, but they kind of don't need it since they're just dealing with settling issues, wind, and that sort of stuff. Because, the surgery they had to do for pad 1s and the ship stacking was funny.
Yeah.
It without some models, it'd be hard to describe. But essentially, with the pushers, they can push and pull, and that'll twist the vehicle. Then with the stabilizer arms, you can swing it from side to side and forward and backwards.
Nice.
But yeah, Ryan is the go-to for this stuff.
Yeah, go to Ryan's channel and look at this video, and he goes into everything related to chopsticks.
Yeah, he's
31 minutes of chopsticks.
very, very well done. It's great
Agreed.
stuff.
And
yeah,
and informative.
yeah.
And the last question is from Crane Man. He wants to know, is the hydraulic oil in Tower B cladding flammable?
Hydraulic oil is extremely flammable, yes. It'll
Depends.
probably burn off. It won't like catch everything else on fire, but it will certainly burn off. I've been a
Also,
part of
there's
many
some-
hydraulic fires.
Some are more flammable than others. Like 5606 is a little bit more flammable than Skydrel, depending on the situation. But
I mean, any hydrocarbon is
yeah.
that carbon bond is easy to has quite a bit of energy on it.
I still want to know the fluid they used back on Booster 7. It had to have been like Skydrel. Something. Or RP1. They could have used RP1 too.
I'm assuming it was RP1, just because that's Falcon and everything else. Just tap it off the high pressure pump.
Yeah, I know Falcon uses RP1 for its hydraulics. It literally just because it makes so you don't need another commodity on board, basically.
Yeah.
And it just as incompressible as Skydrel or 5606, and it works nice. So
Yeah, and it's a flow through, so you just vent it.
yeah.
So while we're on the subject of the booster, we're able to notice some interesting details with the grid fins that Alex said he didn't want to talk about. But yeah, we can see now with this top-down view some interesting details. You can see the main load-bearing grid fins are basically really thin. When you look down, you can see straight through them, the waffle, versus the one that we're kind of referring to as the rudder. You can see that it's kind of tilted. I don't know if they're all going in the same direction. I guess they're all
They do.
towards the middle, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make a super thick version of the catching ones and then chop it. Take a section of it like at 15 degrees and you'll get this shape.
Yeah, for
so
better airflow redirection.
Well, it also, depending on the ground shots, it'll look like little hearts in the grid.
Mhm.
So there's that. Sorry.
yeah, certainly an interesting feature. I kind of want to do some CFD modeling on this, but cool thing to point out. I mean, just in general, like having a booster on the pad, or for the first time, getting a flyover in with the booster on the pad is pretty awesome. I think we've all been waiting for this moment for an extremely long time.
Hey,
It just looks
Zach,
incredible.
in Studio VC comments, there's I just put a couple of renders there from Nick if you wanted to fill them at all. Show him what we're talking about with the grid fin.
Please no.
Sorry.
It's okay. Chameleon does brilliant work.
It's beautiful. What do you mean, Alex? It's beautiful.
Yeah, so this is a good one. You can kind of see the way it's tilted in this direction.
Like I was wondering if it would all be the same. I did not expect them to have like a little slant to it, but it makes sense. Just like only having 3 grid fins makes sense. This also makes sense. We don't have to like it, but it is what it is.
Well, I mean, they are flying it with, unlike missiles that generally some use grid fins. There's Yeah, they don't want this rolling, so it does sort of track.
Yeah.
Roll is
What some of
bad.
them? What some of them? There's the AMRAMs, right? Because I know the AIM-9 mics use the spin. I forget what those are called.
Oh, I love the thing. The spin stabilizer. What's a little blunder? Yes.
Yeah, those. Yeah.
Yeah, AIM-9s. Yeah. God, that's
Imagine putting 3 of those on booster to control it coming back in.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I have eBay watch list for those. They're still like $1,000, which they're cool, but not that cool.
One of the funniest things. This is a little bit off, but one of the funniest.
Wait,
things
hold on. I'm gonna have to stop us from the rabbit hole because I'm gonna have to get out of here soon. I have to go to the hospital. So
okay, sorry.
But yeah, but what I was gonna say is, it's just crazy seeing a booster on the pad now finally. With all the scaffolding and all that stuff gone, it's just incredible. Can't wait till we actually have a ship out here for the first time. Was there more from Pad B that we missed?
There's a humor of they have the scaffolding right upper left corner from where they're doing the walls. No, at the edge of the pad, right top of frame. You could see it, but I don't know if they removed them this morning, so I was hoping they would go flying if they did a static fire.
They did a static fire.
Yeah, they had cones. They had cones and tape at the exits of the trench too this morning. I'm like, if they static fire, it'd gone wee.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the flying pop-ups. So
we'll
It would have
see.
been fun to watch the cones flying.
Yeah,
We'll see if it happens tomorrow.
and go on, Zack.
I was just gonna say it looks like they finished painting this wall right here, and then if we look at the airport, we can see them loading up the. Where is it?
Just when you thought we got rid of it.
No,
So the Gateway to Mars sign appears to be coming back.
I really want it to be Gateway to M, and then the
line out
A.
the moon.
No, just M and have a lowercase a, so as an O, but it's cut off by the edges of walls.
Where are the rest of the?
They changed the sign to say the gateway to Leo.
Yes. No, Gateway to
Sorry, I was looking for the rest of them. I'm not sure where the rest of them are. I think they may be in the tent. But yeah, so I'm expecting we'll probably see this arrive sometime this week, which will be nice.
Hopefully
it'll
after
stay
the
the
static fire.
No.
Yeah, certainly.
They'll put it on before launch, and then during launch, it'll get destroyed and blown right off the side of the wall. Yeah, that's what'll happen.
So anything else from Pad 2 that we should mention that I may have missed?
We can finally see under the tanks because they remove those pesky deluge tanks, but
Of course, it's at a week where we have a 11,000 foot
exactly.
TFR, but
yeah. There's a lot of things this week that I'm sad by the TFR about.
Yep.
I mean, it makes sense.
Andy, did we have any questions that we haven't touched on yet?
There's just one. And we can make the answer a little bit on the quick side. Ghost Vira is asking, what's the difference from Pad 1 chopsticks and Pad 2 chopsticks?
Everything except for the main structure, and even the main structure is slightly changed.
And that's it for the questions.
Yeah, I mean, these ones are being converted still over to the they've already shortened them obviously, but they're still working on them. I think this is a low priority item for now. Probably one of the last things they do once the trench walls are going up. I think probably not even until after the launch mount is installed, if I had to guess.
And they still got to redo the backside of the tower too, and put all the drawworks stuff back in as well. So yeah, there's a lot of work to do.
In the interior. Yeah, I'm hoping the 11K comes in. They just start.
Yeah, all the inside.
Yeah, strip it and do it proper. Will they? Probably not.
All the cryo lines, high pressure lines. There's a lot of stuff to that tower they still got to do. They got to take the SQD arm off still.
Just drop it off the tower. Just cut it off and drop it. It's the best thing that can happen to it.
I'm down. We got cameras. We'll watch it.
Awesome. Well, if that is the last of the questions that we have today, then definitely want to appreciate everybody who's donated and participated in the chat by asking us questions, because it definitely gives us more things to cover than things that we necessarily think you guys might want to know. So definitely always appreciate that. Like I said, thanks for all the donations, helping us stay up in the air every week. Hopefully the TFR is lower next week and we'll be able to have some closer views on some of these new things that we weren't able to see quite as well. But yeah, excited for booster testing this week. I'm assuming we may possibly get that first static fire tomorrow, hopefully, if everything goes well. There's a closure tomorrow, right?
Yep, there's a closure for the next 3 days.
But tomorrow's the primary.
Yep.
Yeah, so lots of action coming up. I'm sure we'll have tons to discuss next week. And we also still have the Starbase Expanded show on Tuesday, so we will go even deeper into some of this stuff on that show, which Stephanie will be hosting, I believe. So yeah, with that said, I will see you all on the next week, and I will pass this off to Alex.
Thank you, everyone, to come for the Tuesday show and send any questions and requests, because that would be very helpful. And yeah, that's all I got.
And it's always fun coming on here talking Starship, and I can't wait to see a booster static fire off that pad, and then of course a full stack when we get there. So yeah.
And a great big thank you to Andy as well for always helping out and doing questions and donations today.
Always my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And with that, we will see you guys on Tuesday. Most engines cut off. Hot staging confirmed. Love you. Bye.